Welcome everybody to anticipated releases for the month of September. My name is Nick.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Travis.
And for new people joining us, this is where we pretty much just talk about the games coming out next month, give a little background about them, and then talk about why we're excited of them. We each have come with a couple games, so I'm actually going to start because there's one that I will say I think is a bigger release, but not really a huge release, but I just want to get it out of the way because I feel like I'm excited for it, but am I probably going to get it? I'm at 50-50 on it, and that's Warioware Get It Together. The Warioware games are filled with what you would call micro games. If you are familiar with Mario Party always has mini games. The difference with micro games is that they're usually finished within a matter of seconds. And the cool thing about Warioware is that the games all have very unique characters, and all of the micro games usually have you doing kind of wacky things. So, for example, one of the micro games might be a guy has his arms up and you gotta pull out his armpit hair. Or there's a toothbrush and you're putting toothpaste on that toothbrush. Weird and wacky stuff that really kind of gives the Warioware games a lot of, I guess, personality. And it's nice because the last Warioware game that came out, I don't want to say was a flop, but just was kind of because it was WarioWare Gold for the 3DS. And while I thought it was fun, I didn't really get a lot of playtime out of it. I thought it was good for what it was, but I didn't really see it as like anything too unique, and I kind of felt like it was overpriced. But I feel like they're fixing a lot of it with WarioWare Get Together. If you were paying attention a little while ago, they actually did a quick poll to see how much would people be actually willing to pay for a WarioWare game because they're kind of quick and to the point. And it seems like the consensus was $40. So if I researched this correctly, I don't believe they're going to be selling this for a full Switch game price, which is a good thing. And it is going to be introducing a couple of new things that is cool too. There's going to be the option for multiplayer in terms of you being able to work together to solve challenges, or if you're somebody like Mike and Matt, be able to screw each other over instead of working together. So there is a lot of character that comes with the WarioWare games. And for the Switch, it is a very great platform to have, especially with the kind of encouraging of multiplayer and co-op aspects of it. So it's a good platform. It's a good game series. I just hope it does well. Am I going to get it? I'm going to wait to see the reviews.
Yeah, that's fair. I miss these games though. Like it is, even like if we don't end up getting it, it's so cool to like see this come. It's weird saying come back because I guess theoretically it's been on every console. It was on Wii U. Kind of, wasn't it? It wasn't WarioWare though. Didn't they call it something else? Wasn't it like
Game and Wario is what they called it?
Yeah, I was like, whatever. But yeah, this was like some of my favorite memories. I used to like the DS one a lot. I think that was a fun use of the stylus. And then the
WarioWare
Wii
Touch.
one, oh my god,
smooth moves.
Yeah,
so good.
We used to. I don't think we ever made a video on it, but we used to play that a couple times. And it was so funny. So yeah, I'm excited for this. I'll be looking forward to seeing what it's like. I think now that we're apart, I have less incentive to get it because I don't know if my friends around here are as into that kind of thing. But man, I'm excited to see what it's like because these games are always a blast.
Very, very, very fun games. I'm kind of excited that it's getting a little bit more of recognition. Nintendo has been giving a little more incentive or giving a little more of a spotlight to some of those, I would say, underappreciated series. Unfortunately, still no love for series like F-Zero or like Golden Sun for some of those, but WarioWare at least is getting a little bit of love, which is nice to see.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, Mike or Travis, who's up next?
Do you want to go, Travis, or do you want me to go?
Whatever you want to do. It don't matter to me.
No, all right. Well, I'll go then, because this next one I don't have a ton to say about anyway, and that is Life is Strange: True Colors. My gosh, there's so to start, like the original Life is Strange was awesome. Like I absolutely adored the crap out of that game. Before the storm, I was like, didn't really feel necessary to make. And then, like, The Awesome Adventures of Captain Spirit came out, and I'm like, this is really odd. And then Life is Strange 2 came out, and I'm like, man, we are really just pushing this as far as we can, aren't we? Not that, like, Life is Strange 2 had a bad story necessarily. It's just, like, things are getting weird. And they have nothing to, like, do with each other. And so for those of you that don't know, True Colors is obviously the newest one. These games never really have any direct correlation to each other. They have like little Easter eggs and like kind of small nods to each other, but it's not like you have to play the other ones to play True Colors. At most, people are speculating there might be like a character cameo. Doesn't really matter.
There is. There is, but
so like that's like the big thing. They're saying like, oh, maybe you'll see Max or well, I don't care. But like I don't know. My whole thing with True Colors is it looks interesting, and if you're into this type of game, the whole like you are a character, you're kind of just like walking through the real world, and your only dilemma and only source of action is like making decisions. I think you would like this game because Don't Nod tends to do a very good job with games like this. Think in the vein of like Telltale or Until Dawn, though this tends to be more of a social, I don't know what you'd call it, like a social cultural more type of game. So the choices are not like, do you want to murder the axe wielder or the swordsman? The choices in these games are a lot more like, your friend is being bullied. Are you going to stand up for them? Or, someone left a racist note in your friend's locker. Like, are you going to tell your friend or throw the note away? It's a lot of stuff like that, which I think is cool. I think it's kind of cool that, this game series has kind of almost devoted itself to like playing that role, because you don't see that in a lot of games. True Colors is just interesting because the whole point of True Colors is the main character can, I guess, manipulate and absorb emotions, and it's like, okay, sure. I don't know like what that means. I haven't like looked into it a lot because I try to keep this stuff a secret. But that's like her power. And I guess her brother dies, and the whole franchise, the whole like series, or the game I should say, is like bent on trying to figure out what happened to your brother. And she uses her power to absorb and manipulate emotions to do that. And I'm like, sure, okay, whatever. So I don't know. Like I'm sure it's cool, and I don't want to like negate it. It just seems like these games tend to be very like dramatized and sappy, especially after the first one. Like they blow things up that I feel like are really tiny, but they're cool, and I think they're cozy, and I think they talk about a lot of good things. I think what I will say in a nutshell, this is a great game for 2021. It is like totally fitting for the year that we live in, as far as like the social climate and everything goes. So I would look into it. For some people, this game is like perfect. People will adore this game and the message it says. Some people will say this is really stupid and dumb. So I would do your research. It really depends on the type of person you are. But they've been fun, and this development company makes great games. I think it's worth checking out if you're into that style. So that's all I gotta say.
I agree with that. I think what's tough about this one is that, well, in terms of like the character, if you remember the character, or if you've played Life is Strange, the original one, one of the characters I was playing like D&D that you could kind of play in the Before the Storm, pretty much Chloe story. In the first one, she's like one of like the main characters now, or like one of the like, main side characters, I guess. Definitely a supporting role in this game.
Yeah.
But I agree with a lot of it. I do feel like one of the things that the first one kind of faltered with was, again, blowing up things that are very kind of minor stuff that, like, if you said to a friend, they just be like, okay, well, that was kind of a dick comment, but just kind of brush it off and call it a day. But then they just be like, how could you say that? You destroyed everything that I believed in. And it's just like, did I really? I don't really think I did. And then you go back in time and you fix it. It's like, some of those moments were definitely over dramatized, but I did think the game was actually super, super fun. I didn't expect to get into it. I kind of bought it when I was like originally looking at PS4 games, and I was just like, oh, cool, Mike liked this game, I'm going to try it out too. And I ended up wanting to find all the pictures, and I thought it was actually like a really cool kind of mixture of a puzzle and like real life scenario kind of thing, even though, again, it's about time travel and whatnot. So it was a cool game. I did really enjoy the cool game, enjoy the first games or whatnot, but I never really had an inkling to play the later ones. So I guess I'll see how this one does as well. But I'm with Mike. I'm like, some of these things where I see in the trailer, I'm like, meh, and some of them are just like,
yeah.
I guess it's kind of cool. So I'm kind of, I said Warioware, I was kind of like 50-50 on this. I'm kind of like 25-75 on this. The ability to like see emotion and whatnot and be able to see people's true thoughts, it didn't appeal to me as much as the first one. But yeah. I don't know, it's tough to do those things well, and I'm sure they'll do it fine. It's just, I feel like this game will be one of those like maybe 7 or 8 out of 10 games, so it won't be bad, but it's not gonna like, for my interpretation, I don't think it's gonna blow you away. Just my 2 cents.
Exactly.
All right, Travis, I know I come with a couple more games than you do. Do you want me to steal this one and talk about one quick, or do you want to sneak in here?
It don't matter. I'm here for the ride. I've been waiting to talk about this game for a very long time now. I can wait another few minutes.
Fair enough. Okay, then I'm gonna squeeze in one of my games, and that's Tales of Arise. The Tales series. It's been on my list for a really, really long time, and especially as somebody who would consider themselves a pretty avid JRPG player, I feel like I would have gotten around to one of these games at some point, either like Tales of Berseria, Tales of Vesperia, but I haven't, and I think this one might be the first one that I jump into. It also is tough because when you jump into a Persona game with limited time, it kind of eats away all your time. But either way, the Tales series is actually kind of it's definitely really cool. It does seem to focus around a different kind of characters and scenarios. So even though they kind of are all under the umbrella of like the Tales of games, they do seem to feature very different scenarios and very different kinds of characters for sure. I believe when I was looking into stuff like Tales of Vesperia, that's very different than like what Tales of Berseria was in terms of the way that they have the main character and the typical archetype that you would think the main character would follow. They deviate from that in a very cool way. But Tales of Arise is another Tales of game. It's being featured on many platforms, and it's really about, again, this is going to sound JRPG-ish, it's about challenging fate. So, I can't say that with a straight face, because challenging fate, I feel like, is in so many JRPGs, but... But what's cool and unique about this game series is that they feature a very interesting world and a very unique combat style. The world is very, what's the right way to say it? It is very colorful, but it certainly tries to show themselves as kind of bland in certain ways. But in terms of what it seems like they always try to highlight is the characters and the different kinds of combat that the characters can have. You have your typical guy with a sword, chosen hero kind of person. But in terms of the other ones, you have a guy like kicking the crap out of people using his martial arts into like knights with full plated armor. How does that work? I don't really know. But it is one of those games that really prioritizes more flashy combat styles. Like the new system that they're introducing is called Boost Strike, where you chain combos and powerful attacks together just to take down your enemies. So it's a game series that is definitely over the top and flashy in certain areas, but it does seem to kind of deviate from the typical tropes that you seem to see other RPGs steer into. And we've done conversations on our channel where it's just like there's certain times that tropes are done well, certain times that tropes haven't been done well, but it seems like this game series does a very good job of introducing a tropey character and deviating just enough so it feels a little fresh than what you'd expect out of an RPG. You're still going to get kind of your chosen hero, you're still going to get your over-the-top combat, but you're not going to get the ending you expect all the time. And I think that's a very good thing that this game series does.
Yeah, I agree. It's funny because the only one I played is Tales of Vesperia, and I adored that game. There was so much like great things I can say about it. My understanding with Tales of Arise is like the combat overhaul seems to be like trying to make it simpler, which I guess is good. Tales of Vesperia was very interesting in terms of like how you move around. It was like I don't know if you'd call it 2.5D. It's more so like it's 2D when you want it to be, and then it becomes 3D when you want it to be. Because like in the map you could only move left and right, or not in the map, but like in combat you can only move left and right unless you hold down ZL, and then you can move like 3D. So it was kind of strange. And then like there were so many different like combos and special moves where it's like hold ZL and ZR to do this, and then if you hold L and ZR you have this, and then if you press up on the D-pad and press ZL you get, and it's like holy shit, there's like too much stuff to remember. So it does seem like they're trying to like really like streamline and make things a lot simpler in this one, which is good. Because the combat for the most part seems the same. These games have like an arena style combat, so like you just run into an enemy on the overworld and then you end up in an arena with like 3 or 4 enemies and fight them. But the combat in it was always fun. And I like the stories of these games. Like Nick said, it's I always compare to like Final Fantasy, where the Tales games have nothing to do with each other. They're all like in their own worlds. They don't even really make references to each other ever. It's just like that. Basically, it's just the same theme, really, is all it is. But yeah, these games are downright amazing, and I like this one looks really colorful. It's kind of nice to see like one like in the new HD like modern day graphics, because the only one I played was Vesperia, which was very like cartoon-esque, which is not bad. The graphics were nice, but this one is very like realistic and the colors pop, and so I'm excited for this. I'm curious to see what it's going to be like. The last few, like outside of Vesperia, were always seen as good, not great. And so I'm curious if this is going to be like another average release, or if this one is going to be like Tales of Vesperia, because Vesperia was like the one that was like amazing that people really got into, and a lot of the other ones were kind of like, they exist, but nothing special about them. So I'll definitely be keeping an eye on this game, and who knows, maybe I'll pick it up. These games are long, they're like 50-60 hours, but it might be a fun RPG to add to people's lists, so we'll see.
Yeah, the cinematics and like pretty much just from like what you'd see at like the opening animation, I feel like it's very well done in terms of, I guess if you kind of want to get that kind of style, or that kind of stylized action out of it, which is really cool. And it seems like the world is pretty much straight out of like a watercolor painting, which is amazing. Yeah. Because I remember saying it in previous releases, I don't know when, but I love it when they try to go for not these kind of weird dark and shaded backgrounds or whatnot, which doesn't really look like the world's alive or whatnot. And so I do like that kind of world style that they're going for in these kinds of games. So yeah, I am actually pretty excited about it. Again, the Tales of series has kind of been on my list for a while now, and I would love to try the games at some point. But I guess we'll see if this is the one that lets me dive in. Again, RPGs are long, man. So it's really just trying to like have the right time and thinking to myself when I'm looking through my library, I think it's time to try this game. So yeah,
for sure.
Okay.
Travis,
does sound like an interesting game. Do we want me to talk about my game?
Hell yeah.
I want you to talk about your game, Travis.
Okay, so way back when I was in high school, I used to be addicted to playing Diablo 2 with my good old buddies. And I am very excited to see that they have finally been making a remastered version of this game, because getting to play Diablo 2 nowadays is a very weird process, because you have to like make sure you delete your old key from a different computer you used to play it on to then be able to play it on a new one. And quite frankly, I can't even remember where the key is, so I haven't been able to play it in a long time. So I'm very excited to be able to play it, because Diablo 2 did things differently than Diablo 3, where you actually had a skill tree, so you had more of a, like, I guess, control of how your character actually ended up becoming, because, like, you can see what the great, end of the tree is going to be, and if that's what you want to work for, versus Diablo 3, where you just get 4 abilities and that's it, and it's kind of lame. So I was really happy to see that they're not doing... I mean, I was kind of hoping they would do a little something different from the original Diablo 2, but I'm happy to see that the trees are all going to be back. And I thought what a neat feature was that they added into it was you can hit a button that would change it from the HD graphics that they improved on, obviously, to the original ones, just like how that one Dragon Quest game did it, where it was like the 3D graphics versus the 2D. So I thought that was cool, because for me, who's nostalgic to see the old school graphics, I might actually want to play on it for a little bit. Just be like, man, I remember how crappy this used to look. So that was a neat touch that I didn't really think that they were going to do. They did, new cinematics, which I figured they would do. Obviously, the upscaling on the graphics. But it looks like it's pretty much the exact same story. They get the 4 chapters that the regular game came with, as long as the chapter 5 DLC, Lord of Destruction, is also included with those 2 characters that you're able to use in that one. So I'm looking forward to it. I will definitely be picking it up, because like I said, I loved playing Diablo 2. Me and my buddy Robbie, we would do a lot of hardcore playthroughs of it. We've even got into hell mode with hardcore once. And hardcore is, if your character dies, it's dead. Can't use it. You can't even get anything out of his inventory. Straight up dead. So I'm sure I'll be playing it again, because it's fun. And then Diablo just has an interesting story that always has. So I'm interested to see how, with better voice acting if the story will feel a little more fleshed out than just kind of going from point to point that I remember kind of doing. But that's also because we played it so many times. We didn't need to know what the story was because we already knew.
I was going to say, Travis, do you know if they actually have any like additional story content or any like...
From what I've read, it doesn't
DLCs
look like
included?
there's anything that's added.
Okay.
When I first saw that they had 2 additional characters, I was like, oh! And then I realized that was just from the Lord of Destruction, which I already had, which I believe were the Druid and... Was it the Assassin that was new? I don't remember who the 2 new ones were. But 6 different characters you can choose from. Each of them have like 3 different trees that you can pretty much go off of. So even if like you really liked one, so like the Assassin, for instance, has like a poison specialty, a trap specialty, or a martial arts specialty. So those 3 played very differently. So it was kind of like, what did I want to do? So it's cool because you can still, like, my baby's the Necromancer. That is 100% the first character I'm going to do. And I am going to have just 1,000 people, like skeletons that I'll res from the dead. And it's going to be amazing.
I'm fascinated.
Sounds amazing.
This is, I guess this is a holdover for, remember when they announced Diablo 4?
Yep.
And it's been like, that whole BlizzCon was them announcing game like Diablo 4 and Overwatch 2, and just, I guess that just don't exist anymore. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure
Kinda
Metroid Prime 4 was also announced in that same year. I know
There's
it's a different
something about
company,
the number
but
4.
same-esque thing.
Diablo 4,
Blizzard
Metroid
hasn't
4?
like made a new game in forever, dude. Like they've been
They
updating
announced
their, like,
Overwatch
WoW.
2, okay?
Yeah, they can announce all they want, but I mean, like stuff like WoW and whatnot that they're updating. I don't think they actually announced or like have created or released an actual new game in like, I don't know, since like 2014, whenever Overwatch was released. I think that was the most recent game they released, which is crazy to think
That
about.
would be
They're
accurate, yes.
They're going to announce Overwatch 3 before Overwatch 2 even comes out. God.
And it'll still be out before Metroid Prime 4.
Probably. Ain't that the truth?
My heart.
Nick, do you want to go? Because I feel like my game might be a little more
I think it is.
spotlighty. Yeah.
I think yours is more finale game for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Sonic Colors Ultimate.
Woo.
That's one of the reasons. There's nothing bad about Sonic Colors. If you're talking Boost Sonic, it's, I would argue, one of the better Boost Sonic games. I would have it up there with Generations and pretty much just Generations at this point. I kind of have it as like my number 2 when it comes down to Boost Sonic games that that I would play again. There's a couple of, I guess here's the thing. So I guess the background first to Sonic Colors and what it did differently. This was kind of when it was moving out of the of the what the hell are you doing with the waggle technology Sega when it came from the Wii era. We're talking like your Sonic and the Secret Rings and Sonic and the Black Knight. Actually, I don't even know when Sonic and the Black Knight out. I could be wrong on that one. But it was when Sega kind of was experimenting, and eventually they just was like, you know what, screw it, Sonic Colors. And it was actually a really fun game. The main gimmick of the game was everything. You had Wisp power-ups. So in terms of being able to do like laser, rocket, all this other stuff, you might have seen if you played Sonic Forces, some of like the Wisp bombs, I believe is what they called the actual weapon that your avatar has. A lot of those were inspired by the Wisps, and a lot of people, again, it's 3D Sonic, it's divisive. I would say a majority of people would say it was kind of like the point where people really stopped caring as much about Sonic because they were trying this new direction. It was hit or miss for some people. And this was like one of the last games where they're just like, this is a really fun game. I enjoyed the levels, I enjoyed the music. Sonic Unleashed definitely pissed a lot more people off. This was what I would call a lot more traditional when it came to the Sonic kinds of games. Yeah, some of the Wisps had like other power-ups were like the spin dash, I believe. Maybe you could spin dash, I can't remember. But it was a Wisp power up, but it allowed you to like go up walls and go upside down and stuff like that. And there were really cool mechanics that were introduced in Sonic Colors. any game from that kind of block of games, that Sonic Unleashed, Sonic Colors, Sonic and the Black Knight, Sonic and the Secret Rings, this is definitely the one that deserves the remake treatment the most, if you ask me.
Oh, yeah.
But then again, that's kind of a no-brainer. But it's doing a couple of really cool things. We kind of know what Sonic Colors is about. It's Boost Sonic. It actually has some really cool levels, really cool boss fights. The cinematics and the cutscenes that happen in the game are fantastic, and they're getting an upscale when it comes down to the resolution. I believe you're actually getting 4K 60 FPS for a game like Sonic, where the whole staple of the series is going super fast and being able to see everything in very vivid detail. And we were talking about it before about how we were praising the color. This game definitely has it. It's called fucking Sonic Colors. All those going together is going to be very nice in terms of a visual upgrade for sure. They also are bringing in certain things where you can actually face off against certain people, so like a multiplayer aspect. They're calling it Rival Rush. You're getting customization options, so they're taking a part out of Sonic Forces book where you can get like different gloves and different shoes for Sonic. That's also a nice touch. I don't think it's going to be too different. I didn't see anything about like additional content, and I don't know, maybe there might be an edit here if I'm wrong, but it seems to just be a remastered version of Sonic Colors so other people could play it, and I think that's all it really needs to be. Sonic Colors was, I think, a very fun game, but it ultimately was like where I almost said screw Boost Sonic altogether. I don't find these games fun. This was one of the last games, and there might be something on our channel going up later where I had some fun with it, but this was one of the last Boost Sonic games where I was just like, this is what I thought was an actual fun game, and I actually wanted to beat it. So, a little on the shorter side. I won't say too much more about the game. It looks really good. I have the original Sonic Colors. I don't really want to play it again, but I do think if there is a Sonic game from that era that should get the remake treatment, this is definitely one of them. They are also introducing a new Wisp, the Jade Ghost. Cool, whatever, I don't really care, but it's like, it's a fun game. If you like Boost Sonic, you'll probably enjoy this one. If you're more of an adventure fan, I might do my research and maybe stay away. That's what I'm gonna say about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for it because, like you said, 3D Sonic sucks like a lot of these games. So yeah, I think this is definitely the one. I mean, I'd like to see like Sonic Heroes get remade, but that's more just nostalgia. I know Sonic Heroes is not like a well-made game, at least to the extent like this one or like Sonic Adventure. I mean, I'm different than you. I've always kind of liked Boost Sonic, at least because to me it makes a lot more sense than like the other one. Like Sonic, they told him as the guy that can go the speed of sound, and then you're like stuck platforming, and like especially like that's my biggest complaint about like the 2D games is they punish you for going fast sometimes in a game that the main character is supposed to go fast. So I've always kind of liked Boost Sonic. I feel like Sonic Colors and even Sonic Forces, the most recent one, did a good job of like not punishing you for using Boost Sonic like Boost Sonic. So I don't know. I'm excited for this. I never beat it, but I'm definitely excited to try it out and play it. Like actually try to potentially beat it if I end up buying this Ultimate Edition. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those games where when you jump from 2D to 3D, it's definitely divisive. Certain people have their style that they like, and I'm definitely one of the people who really likes the adventure style of games. But I feel like we've talked about it a lot already. Maybe we'll do more of a breakdown of it. But I mean, if they came out with like a Sonic Adventure 3, I would love it to death. Boost Sonic doesn't really interest me as like a style of Sonic, so when I replayed Adventure 2, it was crazy that I actually went through and did like every single mission because I just loved it so much. But again, it's a personal preference thing. Some people like Boost Sonic, some people like Adventure Sonic. I don't really have a stake in it. It's one of those things where I picked my side, and I'm just like, if they come out with a game that's like Adventure 3, I'll play it. If they come out with more Boost Sonic stuff, I'll probably avoid it. But I mean, I have a backlog of games I don't really care to complain about Sega wanting to make a game that I want. I feel like there's a lot of other great games about there. Why would I waste my breath arguing about 3D Sonic?
Yeah.
We all know it's divisive, and to be honest, even the adventure games kind of sucked a bit.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so I guess I will wrap this up with, I guess, what could arguably be seen as like the biggest release this month. I guess it depends who you are. And that is Deathloop. One of the few like Bethesda games that has me excited, which also has me nervous a bit. Arcane's like the main one, but anyway. So like, but this is a cool like Bethesda game because the last one was Fallout 76 and it was like the MMO and it kind of sucked. And then there was like Elder Scrolls Online, which wasn't the worst MMO, but it was shitty until Fallout 76 came out. And then Elder Scrolls Online looked a lot better. Deathloop, anyway, is a single... there's PvP, but I don't really want to talk about the PvP. It is interesting, and maybe I'll talk a little bit at the end, but the big thing is just how freaking amazing the concept of Deathloop is. It is very much like Returnal, the game that came out, mixed with a little bit of Majora's Mask, mixed with like a shooter type game, and it is just the coolest thing ever. Like every time I read about this, how time works in this game, it just absolutely blows my mind. So to start, essentially, you play as an assassin in this game, and every time you die or every time the day ends, time loops back to the very beginning, and you essentially kind of redo the day. And there's another assassin who's like your rival, and she's obviously like trying to kill you, and if she succeeds, you die and time starts over. And so I think this is what reminds me kind of like Majora's Mask in the sense that we'll assume Majora's Mask is a day and not the 3 days like it is. But after the 3 days, shit hits the fan, and then you wake up and restart from day one. Kinda, I guess Majora's Mask, it's a game over and then you restart, but you get the idea. So in this game, if you fail, you start over. The cool thing, though, is it's not insane like a roguelike game. So games like Returnal and games like Binding of Isaac tend to scare people off because you feel like you're not making progress. And that's actually one of the reasons that I've kind of been iffy on playing games like that, because I like feeling like I'm making progress. That's one of the reasons I didn't like Majora's Mask, is because when time reset, I feel like I'm going nowhere. And even though you technically are after you beat like a dungeon in that game, I still felt like I didn't like restarting. It always felt weird to me. Deathloop does a pretty good job, I'd say, of making it feel like you're still gaining progress for a couple of reasons. One, there is something called like it's like referendum or something. I don't remember what the word is. Generally, what the idea, though, is that you can spend like in-game currency that you kind of like earn by killing bosses to like lock in things that you get. So you can like lock in power-ups that will then carry over to the next life, essentially. And so there is ways to make progress. You just have to be willing to spend money. It's also not as harsh as a game like Returnal in that if you die, you technically don't always reset. There's something called reprise in the game where if you die, you can actually rewind and kind of cheat death and give yourself a second chance. You can do that 2 times, and then if you die a 3rd time, you have to go back no matter what. But the game really totes itself as an exploration and just do whatever the hell and see what works. And what also is cool is even though at the end of the day time resets, it doesn't actually work on a timer. So there's 4 different regions in the game. And when you go to region 1, you enter it like in the morning phase. It will stay the morning phase for 50 hours if you stay there for 50 hours, hypothetically. Time does not advance until you go to the next area or until you die. So let's say like you're in that like area 1 for like 2 hours, and then you go to area 2, time will advance to like the 2nd, 4th of the day. And then you go to area 3, that's the 3rd, area 4 is the last. So the day is really as long as you want it to be, and they do that because they want you to explore, right? So they want you to actually take time to like analyze and study the area and kind of just do whatever you want. So there's no rush, which is the other thing I didn't like. Not that I want to keep talking about like Majora's Mask and Returnal, but that was one of my beef with Majora's Mask is a lot of times I felt rushed. This game doesn't rush you. The clock doesn't end until you're ready for it to end, which I really like. It's more so just saying, you know, like you can't go back or you can't like do too much. It's more limiting the amount of action you have, not the amount of time you have to do the action, if that makes sense. So I think that's really, really cool. And I mean, that kind of like summarizes it. The whole point is you're trying to like kill off all these like executive people. And if you do that, that's how you break the time loop. But the whole purpose of the game is finding ways to cheat the loop. And so even though you wake up and it feels like you're not making progress, the information you learn helps you cheat the death loop. And so the idea is that each time you die or each time time loops again, you're learning more and more information on how to like quote unquote cheat the system and ultimately like win and beat the game. So I don't know, it just seems like a very unique and interesting idea. The main character seems really cool. He has a really fun personality. Likewise with like the the villain, right, your rival in this, so which I think is kind of cool. And then the last thing I did want to mention a little bit is the PvP mode. The PvP in this game is trippy. The developer even mentioned this game didn't need a PvP mode. It's not a competitive PvP mode. They basically just threw it in because it's going to be chaotic as hell. And that was essentially the whole reason. They said they are so excited to like watch people play it because they have no idea what the hell is going to happen when people play this co-op, or not co-op, but PvP. Because the whole idea is in PvP, someone will play the role of the rival assassin, and they only get one life. So if they die, they're out. And then like you can kind of keep going on with your mission. But it's interesting because like that other player can come in and also has the ability to like mess with time much like you do. And so it's basically two chaotic forces of energy colliding in like one mission. And it's really interesting, that whole concept. And so I'm excited to like see how that's going to play out. They made it sound like they're expecting chaotic disasters, which is awesome. And so I like that because it's something you can turn off. Like you don't have to play PvP. And again, they're not trying to make it competitive. There's no leaderboard or anything like that. No ranks or anything. It's just if you're interested in some chaos, play the rival assassin and let's go make chaos happen. So I don't know. It seems like the kind of game where they came up with this crazy idea and were kind of just allowed to do whatever they wanted to do. And I think that's really, really exciting. So, you know, if you're interested in like something totally different, the PvP is very cat and mouse if you like that. I am like fully on board of picking this game up day one because I'm pretty sure on Xbox Game Pass it's free. So I actually think I get this game free day one. I could be wrong.
Deathloop?
Maybe
thought Deathloop was only on PlayStation. Well, PlayStation and PC, I think.
You're right. It is a timed exclusive. So never mind. I'm wrong about that. I'm probably thinking of some other game. Yeah, it doesn't come to Xbox until like 2022. Sorry if I got people's hopes up. But yeah, right now it's just PlayStation. Well, regardless, I'll still be picking it up day one because it looks really fun. And I highly recommend it. It looks interesting.
I thought I saw it in a state of play. That's why I was curious.
Yeah, you're right.
But I was going to say what I really like about it is the way that Deathloop definitely incentivizes you to try new things because one of the things that they emphasize is if you don't succeed, die again. I think that's a little play on a popular phrase, but I agree with that. It's kind of cool the more how do you say the different approach that these game devs are taking to dying and being able to incorporate that in different ways. Like the certain ways, like in Celeste, how you die multiple times, not even talking like in a roguelike setting for a game, is constantly incentivizing you to try out something different and throwing you back into the action as soon as you possibly can. Then you get to games like Hades, where it actually is like designed for you to die that like hundreds, I don't want to say hundreds, but multiple times because you're constantly getting better at the game and seeing more of the game. And it incentivizes you to keep trying and to keep persevering throughout it. So maybe you don't see in-game progress as much, but you're definitely seeing a tangible progress being made in terms of your ability to play the game, and it's rewarding you to do that every step of the way. So some of these games that have come out recently, so like Hades and now Deathloop, I think it's a kind of cool design approach that they're taking. And I hope it works out for Deathloop for sure. Because for Hades, I've heard fantastic things about that game and the way that it incentivizes you to keep trying even when you're just like, man, I suck at this. But then you don't suck at this, and then you get a little better, and then you get a little better, and then you get a little better, and then you're just like, holy shit! Now I'm dealing with bullet hell from not really bullet hell, but like I'm dealing with 5 different enemies throwing shit at me, and I'm just like, this is easy. So I like it. I like the kind of different shift in approach when it comes down to creating games like that. So I'm hoping it does well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's Bethesda, so they can easily screw this up, but I'm hoping they don't. I'm keeping my fingers crossed this one will end up being as fun as like the old Bethesda games. That's what I'm really hoping to see.
Hoping for a Fallout 3 instead of Fallout 76.
Exactly. Give me a Dishonored type of assassin, not a 76 or something like that. So we'll see.
All right. Well, then, if nobody else has anything to say, we'll wrap this baby up.
Oh, shit! Nick!
What?
I almost forgot.
Talking about the games that are going to get delayed? I was going to mention those.
NBA 2K22 is coming out. There's a brand new defensive system with a completely revamped shot contest. And you can also block System Highlight and Arsenal. And then the offense, you can break down defenders off the dribble. Basketball IQ is going to play an even bigger role in separating the top offensive players. And then the seasons mode, more details will be revealed about the expanding seasons, but you don't have to pay money for it. And then in my team, the long-requested return in the NBA draft is coming back. You complete with the new lineup and online multiplayer. The evolution of my team is just fantastic. 2K22 offers 2 unique basketball experiences across 2 console generations. And then there's a new city. Nick, how could we have forgotten this? Travis, what are you doing, man?
Wait, there's a new city?
You're reading this off the fucking Wikipedia thing, aren't you?
There's an all aboard the 2K cruise. Choo-choo. I'm just reading the 2K website. I don't know what's happening, guys.
Did we just get sponsored and I didn't know?
It did. Matt took over my body for a second. I don't know what just happened, guys. Dear Lord.
Well, either way, I wasn't actually going to mention 2K. I'm actually going to mention a couple of the games that actually got delayed last month because those are the games I was actually excited for, and I just wanted to mention that they're actually being released this month, or at least fingers crossed. Skateboarding, Kane and Bridge of Spirits. So that's all I was going to say. Fuck it, you're seeing a 2K trailer right now. I don't even know what we're doing with this channel anymore. So thank you all for joining. Screw all the other games. It's 2K22 time. We're becoming a 2K channel. Bye, everybody.
Yay. Bye.
Bye.